Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Mommy Said a Bad Word with Mindy J. I am, of course, your host, Mindy J. It's Sunday morning, and I want to start with this word, okay? I believe a young man by the name of Tupac Shakur said this in his lyrics. He said, "You know what makes me unhappy? When brothers make babies and leave a young mother to be a pappy. And since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and our game from a woman, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women. Do we hate our women? I think it's time to kill for our women, to heal our women, to be real to our women." Okay? Catch this next part. "And if we don't, we'll have a race of babies that will hate the ladies that make the babies. And since a man can't make one, he has no right to tell a woman when and where to create one. So will the real men get up? I know you're fed up, ladies, but keep your head up." My God, today. Turn to your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, keep your head up." A few things I want to talk about today. I feel like this week has been a month. So much happened in this last week between the time that I talked to you last. So I'm recording this on a Sunday morning today. This will be out probably tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday is my designated day, but I try to get it out faster if I can. And last week I recorded on Sunday morning as well. And I talked about the TikTok, man. I kid you not, I didn't even have time to get the episode out before TikTok was back. It was back. Something in the buttermilk and clean. It's definitely not the same TikTok that we fell in love with. I mean, I'm still having fun on there because I'm on there with my people, and my people are going to make something fun every time. But you can definitely tell something is different. And that was just honestly, I didn't understand what the White House was saying when they said that, TikTok going black was a stunt. But it was definitely a stunt. That was like standard age-old propaganda. Because I wish I'm going to try and find pictures of the messages that were being put on the screen when you open up TikTok and stuff. But it was age-old propaganda. It was definitely a stunt by the new White House, because it was like, at first it was just like, Congress or something basically hasn't come to a deal. So that's why, you can't use TikTok right now. Then a couple hours later, the language changed to, but we're hopeful that President Trump is going to work with us or whatever. Mind you, this was on Sunday. He didn't get inaugurated until Monday, but they're already like, yeah, we're hopeful that President Trump is going to work with us, even though Trump was the one who introduced the ban to begin with, right? And then after we got it back, after I recorded, it was like, "Thank you, President Trump, for allowing us to work together," or something like that. Mind you, it's just an extension. You still can't download it from the App Store. My other phone, I have my old phone, and my old phone had TikTok on it. I just tried to, I was on it, and then it just went up into the cloud and was like, "Oh, well, it's not available in the App Store, so you can't download it." So basically, all the people who had deleted the app thinking that TikTok was gone, they can't get back on there. You can't get on Lemonade. You can't get on CapCut. And I know a lot of people edit their YouTube videos on CapCut, but that's why I just did things the old-fashioned way, because I was like, I don't want people to play with my editing software. But yeah, it was some good age-old propaganda. And now you can tell that TikTok is censored. I don't know what the deal was that they struck up about the extension, but you can tell that things are censored. And to the point that I got a lot of my international news from TikTok, and you can tell that it's not being put onto our algorithm the same way. Like, we didn't know that people were protesting all around the world for us, where TikTok would be a forum where you would get that news first, right? But at the end of the day, I don't feel like we have any unbiased media anymore. Maybe independent media, but it's scary hours. It's real spooky out here. But that being said, the inauguration was on Monday. And then I just feel like I've just been hearing about executive orders all week. In the midst of everything, this is another thing that was really like bothering me. As I'm trying to doom scroll, right? I'm trying to doom scroll and just escape, but the level of escapism ain't escapismism, because it's just constant bullshit. So let's talk about this. How, in the midst of everything going on, do people have a chance or find the time to bash single mothers the way that they do? Let me start by saying this. Yes, I am a single mother. That's why the show is called Mom, You Said a Bad Word. It's literally about motherhood. I literally started this podcast coming out of postpartum depression. At the start of postpartum depression. Didn't come out of it for another 3 years. Because it's really only considered postpartum depression for the first 2 years, I believe. But it can last up to 5, 6, 7 years after. But that being said, this is not about defending baby mama culture, okay, which we'll get into that. But this is simply about y'all need to stop being comfortable being effed up human beings online. Y'all are nasty, terrible people sometimes, and we have to reel it in and reevaluate why that is. Things that could go wrong or went wrong at one time, because I've been trying to record this video for the longest, y'all. And if y'all if y'all know anything about this, I record audio and I record the visual. So I was recording audio and I wasn't recording the visual. Namaste. Anyway, the whole reason that this was brought to my attention was because it was a video on TikTok of this young lady, and she had just gave birth. And basically in the video, she captioned it like, when you give your boyfriend his first son and his first child, right? And it was a little humble brag. I wouldn't have felt no ways about it, but I guess some people did. And in the midst of that, they felt the need to spam her comments and basically say stuff like, oh, cute, what did he give you? Where's your ring? Where is, or the baby got the last name before you? And just really being nasty. It came from a nasty place. It wasn't, because people will then, when you call them out on it, be like, oh, well, childbirth is too dangerous of a thing for you to just be doing it for anyone. He should at least be giving you a ring before you have his child, and yada, yada, yada. Absolutely. I do believe in marriage, okay? My parents, shout out to, Linda and Buddy. They've been married for almost 40 years. They have probably one of the healthiest marriages that I've ever witnessed, right? But I still understand that the bottom line in life is shit happens. And I don't think that you should be coming for mothers specifically because they chose to have a child. And it also goes into this idea that we are very, very comfortable pushing abortion on people who don't want it. Me, myself, I am pro-choice, meaning that you have the right to choose what you want to do with your body when it comes to carrying a child. I personally was very upset when they overturned Roe versus Wade, because I knew that would be a slippery slope into them trying to overturn other things. And what do we see happening right now? Oh, okay. But in that being said, I also understand that it is about choice, meaning that you can choose to terminate the pregnancy, but you can also choose to keep the baby, or babies. In my case, I chose to keep my twins, right? But in doing that, somehow the blame then turns to the woman for making the choice to keep the children, right? I have come to terms with my decision. It is what it is. I'm going to do what I have to do to take care of my children, right? But somehow you have decided that in the midst of that, you need to humble me and make me feel even worse about the situation. News flash. When you make the step to become a mother, you have to take into consideration that you may be doing this by yourself, whether you are married or not, okay? And as someone who was unmarried when she had her children, I already knew how that looked. I already knew that I didn't do everything right. I don't need strangers on the internet to try to hold me accountable. At the end of the day, what is your end goal? Right? I saw people saying that, oh, well, she, that's what I was saying. I think that this all stemmed from this idea that we need to hold women accountable, right? I don't know, a couple years ago, I'm not sure who taught some of these young men the word accountability. And from there, it was just this whole thing about women don't take it. Women don't take accountability, which I don't think is true. I think that individuals may not take accountability, because I could say that men don't take accountability, but that's not fair, right? So it's not fair to say that women don't take accountability, right? But in the midst of that, it was like, we're going to hold them accountable for every single thing, right? And at first, it was men. It was men. So you're accountable for your baby daddy. You chose to have a baby with him. They weren't trying to hear, oh, he can switch up, da-da-da-da. Because that does happen. Men can switch up, but it's like, oh, well, you should have chose better, da-da-da-da. What really started to take a turn for me was when I saw women perpetuating it, because I kind of expect that from men, but I saw women perpetuating it. And absolutely, is there a time and a place where, at a certain point, it gets to a point where you do have to take accountability, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again, okay? So it does get to a point where you're continuing to have kids for a man who is maybe a deadbeat or who doesn't love you properly. You're continuing to have unprotected, sex and putting yourself in position to bring children into the world that you cannot afford. Yes, there is accountability that has to be taken there. But just to see a single mother who put herself out there, who said, hey, her boyfriend is there, but she made it clear this is her boyfriend, not her husband. He's around, but to decide that you are going to humble her, you're going to humble any woman who you see that does not have a ring, but is a mother, is asinine to me. What is your end goal? What is that going to change when the children or the child is already there? And especially with the video that I saw people going in on, that was a fresh baby, fresh out the womb, meaning that mother is postpartum. And the last thing that a postpartum mother needs is shame and people bashing her. The mental state that you are in after having children, that is the last thing that is needed. I think we have to ask the question, why is it this notion to humble women, and why is it this notion that we have to, why is it this emphasis on marriage in this way, right? Because women having babies out of wedlock is nothing new. Has it always been shamed? Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it ideal? No, it's not ideal to have babies out of wedlock. If I could do things differently, I absolutely would. I love my babies down. I love my babies to death, right? I'll do anything for them. Ain't nobody gonna play with them, especially not you, okay? But if I could do things differently, I would, because there's an aspect of motherhood that I don't get to fully enjoy because of the fact that everything falls on my shoulders, right? Because of the fact that everything falls on me and I am constantly being everything to 3 different people, right? To my twins and to myself, and shit, to the dog too. The dog is right up under me right now. Okay? The fact that I'm doing that all the time, I never really have a moment to just sit in the love, in the light that is my children. My brain is constantly moving. I'm constantly on to the next thing. I'm constantly thinking about what's next, right? I never just have a moment to just sit and be with my kids. And it unfortunately takes away a sense of joy that, you know, my friends who do have very supportive partners may get to experience, right? Or experience in a way that I simply do not, right? So I'm not saying that it's ideal to not be married, or it's ideal to not have a baby by someone who is not fully equipped to be the type of partner that you need. That's not what this is about. But the fact that you are bashing a mother and deciding that she needs to be humbled for choosing to have her baby and to be a parent, what does that stem from? But I think I've talked about this before, maybe on some of my past episodes. I noticed that people just want to feel superior than somebody, right? People, especially in our community. I am Black. I specifically talk a lot to Black people, but I know it's not specific to Black communities. I'm sure this is happening in other communities as well. But I can only speak to my community because that is who I be, okay? I noticed that we will want to feel better than somebody in any way that we can, because the bottom line, the Black ass bottom line, is in society, in the way that society is hierarched, right? The hierarchy of society, Black people are at the bottom, and Black women, because we are Black and women, we are at the bottom, right? And so you see this happening in diaspora wars, right? Black people globally are seen as the bottom because that's the way the white supremacy has positioned things. So then you will see people try to better themselves or put themselves on a pedestal based on ethnicity, based on their nationality, right? And that's how that comes about, when at the end of the day, we are all, yes, we might be culturally different, but we are all seen as bottom of the barrel to white supremacists. So what you're trying to be this model minority, it's not really going to work, because at the end of the day, you're Black, right? And I think I'm seeing that happening with Black women who are child-free versus who may be single mothers, right? Or not even child-free. You might have children, but are wives versus single mothers, right? Which, let me say, nothing wrong with being child-free. I actually encourage it. If you are not 100% sure that you want to have children, right? If you are not 100% sure that should something happen to your marriage, if you are married, that you would want to do this alone, do not have children. I encourage you to remain child-free, right? But the thing is, if the kids are already here, it is what it is, right? There's no need to bash. But I think we see this hierarchy where it's like, oh, well, you're a single mother and I'm not. So let me remind you that I'm better than you, right? And it's this concept of, oh, well, even if things don't work out, at least you're an ex-wife instead of a baby mama. Does that really change anything in the grand scheme of the life that you will have to live as a single mother, because your title is ex-wife versus baby mama? Now, I do agree with marriage being a thing and important if for legality reasons. Absolutely, right? And it may be for spiritual reasons with you, religious reasons, everything. I do think from a legal standpoint that before you have children, you will want to be married for legality reasons, right? But at the end of the day, even if you get the house and child support, you might get spousal support. If that man still decides that he don't want nothing to do with the kids, or he wants to live his life, or he doesn't want to step up and be the parent that he needs to be, you still have to do it alone. So does the fact that you are an ex-wife versus a baby mama change that? Does it really make you better? It's like when women will say, like, I'm not a baby mama, I'm a child's mother. Like, girl, what? What difference does it make? You still got to do the same damn thing. As a mother, like I said, postpartum is very real. I'm just coming out of that shit. Like, and that was another thing I saw going on, talking about women losing their spark after becoming a mother. And it's very real. It's very real. You can lose your spark, but I don't think that you really lost your spark, baby. You either don't have the support that you need. You gained weight, which makes you sad, right? You don't have the free time and kind of the ability to move and shake the way that you wanted to. And you might just overall be dealing with postpartum depression, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much support you have. You could have gained no weight. You could have snapped back like that. If you are dealing with postpartum depression, nothing, being married, none of that is going to change that. It is a chemical imbalance. You are not going to be able to control that. So you didn't lose your spark. You're not a bad mother. You haven't lost yourself. You're just trying to regain your footing. I'm just now regaining my footing. I told you, I had this podcast since 2020, and I kind of made it as me coming out of postpartum depression, but I haven't really even poured into it because I haven't had time. I just haven't felt it, right? This is my first time feeling it. And my kids are about to be 5. So don't say that you lost your spark. Just say maybe you need help, or maybe you don't have the time that you once had. You don't have the time to do your hair and makeup every day. You don't have the time to go to the hair salon as much as you used to. You don't have time to go to the gym as much as you used to. You are adjusting to becoming a new mother. You're adjusting to a new life. Your whole life has changed. You're adjusting to that. And that's okay. Don't down yourself and be like, oh, look at how beautiful I used to be, right? Because I've been there. That's why I'm finally in a space when it comes to taking my content seriously and when it comes to taking my health seriously. I'm finally in a space where I can do that, because I'm not coming from a space of shame. I don't care what people tell you. Shame, 9 times out of 10, shame is not going to work. Sometimes shame works, but not always. I mean, look at what's happening with Target rolling back the DEI initiatives. That DEI initiatives were a direct result of shame. And as soon as they stop feeling shame, since they feel emboldened by our current president to roll it back, that's what they're doing. Okay? Shame does not work in the way that you think that it is. So shaming women who are single mothers it's not going to change the fact that they had the kids. And you're like, oh, well, maybe someone else will see this and they'll choose to do differently. Or maybe they just won't get the support that they need because they feel shame surrounding it because people are so damn mean. I don't know. But my whole point is, before I was operating from a place of shame when it came to these things. I was shaming myself about my body. I was shaming myself for adjusting to motherhood the way that I had and using food as comfort, or, the way my stomach looked. I was shaming myself into trying to get into the gym, to try and take care of my health, to try to, stop drinking or smoking and having the munchies or whatever I was doing to just cope, right? I was trying to come from a place of shame with that, and it just didn't work. It just has not worked. It's been almost 5 years and it has not worked. I've been losing and gaining the same 20 to 30 pounds the whole time. And right now I'm in a space where I can finally be like, you know what? This is just about being consistent. This is about consistency regardless of results. This is about me treating myself like a human being, right? Because when you do things the way that you're not supposed to, right? i.e. having a child out of wedlock, there's already a lot of shame associated with that. Okay, especially if you come from a religious background such as myself. I'm a church girl through and through. So there's already shame surrounding this because you know you have disappointed people because you didn't do things the way that you were brought up to do them, right? And instead of shaming young women, there needs to be more love and embrace, right? Forcing a 16-year-old woman, or not even woman, excuse me, young lady to get up in the pulpit and apologize to the church for getting pregnant is not going to change anything. First of all, where's the father? Did he have to get up in the pulpit? Because nobody makes a baby by themselves unless you went and got, what is it? Artificial insemination, which don't that cost money? So no teenager is doing that by themselves, yet they're the one who catches the flack and catches smoke. Okay. Shaming her is not going to change the fact that the baby is here. What we need to do is build a village. That's why I have such a issue with pro-life people, because it's like you're trying to shame her into keeping this baby, but then you want to roll back any initiatives that might help her. You want to roll back, food stamps. You want to roll back Medicaid. You want to roll back childcare. You don't want to help people, or you want people to have so little. Because the only time that I have ever received any government assistance with my children were not even one. It was I had them at the height of lockdown. That was the only time. Hold on. I said, what is this dog doing? That was the only time I received any assistance. Why? Because I made too much. I wasn't making too much. I was barely making a livable wage. But if you make a livable wage, it's like you're stuck in this in between. So what we really need is community. What we really need is to show young mothers love, right? Because I guarantee I have held myself accountable far more than you could ever hold me accountable, love. I promise you that. I hold myself accountable every effing day. Okay? So I don't need you to come on the internet and bash me. And then what happens to the women who are in bad situations with their husband, where they are married single moms? Should they stay married just because it looks good? I don't know. I think that there's some type of... Here's what I'll say. I think that people who come from two-parent households, who have married parents, I think we hold marriage to a certain standard, but I notice people who don't grow up in those households regard marriage even higher than I do, or people who had married parents do, because you're projecting what your fantasy is onto it instead of what it really is. Like I said, my parents have probably one of the healthiest relationships, one of the healthiest marriages I've ever personally witnessed. But it was still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, because they're two human beings coexisting. And you're involving money, you're involving business, you're involving religion and spirituality into it, you're involving children, you're involving bills, you're involving properties. Like, it's a business. Marriage is a business, very much so. And so people are gonna butt heads, and it's not the end all be all to saving the Black community. I don't know where that notion came from. I get that marriage used to be more highly regarded, but this idea that women just stop getting married because they wanted welfare is just asinine to me. personally, because you can barely get the shit. They barely want to give it to you. You really got to be doing nothing to get that shit, right? But I understand that people were married, right? Marriage was much more common before we as Black women could get bank accounts, right? But I want you to ask yourself, how many of those marriages were happy, right? How many of those marriages just lasted because your grandma let your papa do whatever as long as he came home on these days? You know, and I think that there's a conversation to be had about our communities and the things that have been implemented to weaken our communities, because even now our communities are weak in a lot of aspects because we're not in community the way that we once were, right? We've assimilated and we're not in spaces and community. People are not in the church like they once were, right? So we're not in these spaces where we can come together and organize the way that our ancestors have. But like Tupac said, you can't blame women for everything, because then you have a race of babies who hate the ladies that make the babies. And we see that kind of shift happening with a lot of these young boys are becoming red pill earlier and earlier, right? This next generation. And then that's what I was talking about with the TikTok ban and the propaganda. We just saw the propaganda that was pushed out. So these younger children, it's like we're seeing a regression, not a progression, right? But I say that to say, I am here for the single mothers. And think twice before you shame a single mother, right? Just because someone has a baby out of wedlock, that is not baby mama culture. That is not promoting baby mama culture. Sometimes people just have a baby. That is not promoting to you that you too should have the baby. It's not telling you that that because I had this baby, you should also decide to go have a baby without a husband. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just existing and you are seeing me exist. That is not a promotion of anything. Furthermore, baby mama culture is not having a child and not being married. Baby mama culture and baby daddy culture is basically you tying yourself to someone through children and creating toxic environments that involve children because of your dealings with this other person. That's what baby mama and baby daddy culture is to me. That's the I'm going to control you through this child type of shit. Me just existing and having a baby is not me promoting baby mama culture. I am here for the single mothers. Y'all know that. Anytime I can help a single mother, I will, because this shit is hard. But let's reevaluate how we're treating single mothers, because mothers are the backbone of society. Do not bash a mother for simply existing. And if we want to hold people accountable, let's hold these deadbeats accountable for their position in society. Okay? And on that note,